Welcome to the France 24 Observers, the show that's based on our network of ordinary people who are our eyes and ears around the world. We begin today in Burundi in Central Africa. It's been nearly 10 years since the end of the civil war that pitted Hutu against Tutsi and cost hundreds of thousands of lives. The country has had elections since then, but its politics remain tense. A new law requires government approval for all demonstrations. The opposition has been trying to get around it.
There have been several laws restricting civil liberties. It's very hard to hold a demonstration now. Everyone has to ask for permission. So the young people decided to pretend they were doing sport. That's what everyone does on weekends in Bujumbura. They went into town wearing sports clothes and they started running. It was a form of demonstration, something the police did not want to see. The kids took refuge at the headquarters of one of the opposition parties, the MSD. The police tried to get inside, and the kids resisted. It started with stones being thrown. Then there was tear gas, lots of it. 2 policemen were held hostage inside the party office. The standoff lasted all day, and it ended badly, with more tear gas and real bullets. Several people were wounded. Burundi is still having a hard time making the transition to democracy. The party in power is acting like it's the only party. The clashes we saw this weekend were a visible sign of tensions that have been building for a long time. People in Burundi have at least moved beyond the level of ethnic conflict. We're a long way from neighbours killing neighbours, but we still see occasional flare-ups amongst young party supporters. That's the biggest danger we face right now.
And now to Washington. Washington is a slum in Ivory Coast in West Africa. It's in a chic district in the biggest city, Abidjan, and the authorities have wanted to get rid of it for nearly 20 years. Well, last week they finally sent in the bulldozers and the shanties have been flattened. A few of the residents decided to stay, including our observer, Touré.
Washington is right in the middle of Abidjan. The bulldozers showed up at 9 a.m. There were police everywhere. There wasn't any proper warning. We're still living at the same site. We've put up temporary shelter for us and our kids. It protects us from the sun and the rain. Lots of people couldn't even get their possessions from their homes. That's what happened to me. Our house was destroyed. We're still waiting for the government of Ivory Coast, for the ministers, to remember us. The 400 families who are still waiting to get new housing at the Babao 2 site. The problem is that the site was sold off by certain individuals, very highly connected individuals. They're the ones who don't want to give us our land back. They've already pocketed the profits. We're going to stay here for as long as it takes, until someone does something.
The Ivorian authorities say clearing the slum was part of a long process that included finding new housing for the residents. They say some of the residents decided to stay anyway so they could rent out the new houses for cash. And now for our weekly roundup of other stories and images sent in by our observers. The Shin-Okubo neighborhood in Tokyo is largely populated by Koreans. They've been dismayed to see graffiti on their walls saying "Koreans go home" or "Death to Koreans." It's believed to be the work of an extreme right group that accuses Japan's Korean residents of abusing the social security system. Members of the group Zaito Kukai have been arrested when they demonstrated publicly. Now they're apparently resorting to spray cans to spread their message in the streets. Now to the suburbs of southern Beirut in Lebanon, which have been hit recently by bombings targeting the Shia group Hezbollah. Local artists have taken the initiative of repainting the bomb sites in bright and cheery colors. Our observer Ali says it's a show of defiance to the terrorists behind the bombings. The residents of Beirut will never be slaves of fear. Now to Tunisia, where a new sport is trying to get off the ground, goalball. It was developed years ago in Germany as a sport for athletes who are blind. It's a little like handball, but with bells in the balls so players can follow them. It's notable for being one of the few sports in the world where there are more officials on the court than players. In competition, you have 12 officials overseeing matches with just 6 players. And finally, 24 hours wasn't enough. Fans around the world, in this case in Benin, have been making their own versions of Pharrell Williams' hit song, Happy. The inspiration comes from Pharrell's own 24-hour-long video of the song, which features fans in Los Angeles. Here are some other versions. That's it for this week. As always, you can find more reports from our observers on our website, on our Facebook and Twitter pages, and on our apps for mobiles. See you next time.